Perfect. Let's get this guy going. A little switcheroo over here. Excellent. Okay, see if this camera will fire up. All right. Of course it doesn't. Come on, man. Get going over there, Facebook cam. All right, you guys. This one's going to be a fun one. I'm going to tell you exactly what I've done so far to the canvas so you can do the exact same thing. I had a black 18 by 24 inch canvas, right, that I covered with a clear blending medium called Bob Ross Liquid Clear. It's very much like linseed oil, and it looks just like this. Covered the entire canvas in our Bob Ross Liquid Clear. Then I knew I was going to do a portal painting, so I put my little portals out. This is an 8-inch by 2-inch pan. This is a 12-inch cake bottom. You can find them at Michael's. You can probably find a pan like this at the dollar store. And I kind of knew where I was going to put them and started laying out my streaks of Indian yellow, sap green, blue. Indian yellow, sap green, blue. Over and over and over and over and over again, all the way around. Then, while everything is still wet, right, all that color is still wet up there, we're about to paint this scene. Now, when you're doing a portal painting, you have to make sure everything is within reach. Because as soon as you set something down with your hand up here, you might not be able to reach it again. So we're going to take our 12-inch round. We're going to put it right there. Try not to move it, scrape all my colors away. We're going to put our 8-inch pan right there. We're going to have them kind of overlap just a little bit. And you can see we're going to interact with all of those stripes of color as we drag through. Now, in real life, they're not super bright. If they do appear to be super bright, it's because our camera and all the lights up there, right? So we're going to go around here. Let's start around here on this side. And just watch this interaction of color. All the yellows, blues, greens. Maybe we'll hit this edge and just go, shh, look at it changing in between. Now, we need to have our paint close enough because we need to have enough of it around the edge of our little guy. Push on this guy real flat and try not to move them. That's a big no-no. Once they're up there, do not move it, right? Now, I'm going to rotate our hand around, keeping pressure on the guy, keeping the same pressure onto the canvas, onto the brush, so we have a nice even circle. And once you're done with the bottom, you can literally let him fall away, right? Let him fall onto the floor. We'll get around to this guy and connect our little bink, just like that, right? Now, with a very small line, don't need a whole lot of paint. We may end up blending it all away, but at least with a very little bit of paint there, then we're going to have our guy. Now, with the excess that's around the edge of the brush, we need to add in a few places, a little different, right? Doesn't all have to be exactly the same, but we're adding that excess off the side of the brush just so we'll have something to drag, right? This looks very messy at this point, but it's exactly what you want. All that excess color out there, just again, tapping it on the side of the brush, bang, just like that, around our whole guy, right? Now, this guy, we may want to drag a little bit, make it easier for our brush to grip onto it. Okay, so we'll take our portal away, and now throw it back into the bucket of portals. Now we'll have a really cool little painting, okay? So you can either use your 2-inch brush or your 1-inch brush, whatever you want to do. Easily done, right? We're going to match along the sides and just drag that color outwards. And as it drags outwards, right, blasting it in just like you would a clock. Right? So we're taking all that color and just extending it. And because we added those little bits, it will drag in different places and become brighter. And we've got our colors underneath. So we have the blue, green, yellow. Oh, just all the way around our little guy. He's gorgeous, right? Now we'll come in here, again, just matching our brush against that little portal bit and pulling him out. Drag it, drag it, drag it. You see how it's not dragging so far down here on our bigger guy? I would imagine our bigger guy might have a little more dragginess than our smaller guy would. So why don't we take a little bit more paint and put it in there in a few extra places. And just with our pressure and our brightness, we can drag this guy straight out, right? Just be a little bit brighter than it was before. Doesn't have to be the same amount of brightness. Have you ever looked at an eclipse, like even at a photo of one and kind of studied it? It's not all the same amount of color and the same amount of aura coming out of every place. So don't worry about it. Look at that cool little thing. That's neat. I like that. Now, up here, we had some of our Indian yellow stripes and sap green and blue stripes throughout our guy. So we're gonna have a bunch of different colors by the time that we get up around there. But look at that. Just a little double eclipse. Looking fantastic, everybody. Whoo, man, that's cool. Oh, that's so bright looking too. All right, now let's get up into our top portal. I know what my bottom portal is gonna be down here. You guys might not know what it is, but I know what it's gonna be down there. And we need to figure out what we want to have in our top section. So let's take a little bit of our white, just a small touch, and let's rock through all these colors, like the green, the yellow, the blue, the yellow, the green, the blue, everywhere. If you like greeny, yellowy, bluey, this one's going to be for you. Yeah, I said it. Let's mix this color down. The more that we mix it, the more it wants to blend in with those darker colors that are underneath, like the yellow and the blue and the green. Right? And so we'll get these cool little spots of bright and dark. What if this guy had another little section of bright cloud just right under there? Who cares, right? Whatever it looks like, it's only clouds, and we can redo them or do them differently a million different times, right? Just having a little bit of detail in there. Very cool. Now let's go back in here and mix up some of our Paint with Josh black, the deep, the dark, the color that contrasts and stands as our shadows, our base shadowy darkness. For lots of paintings that we do. Right? Now it's a mixture of 3 colors that we have to mix up in order to make this purplish black color, which is going to stand out against the brightness of our clouds. Now let's say perhaps get the old Paint with Brian brush out today. Down here, the Paint with Josh brushes are coming out soon. They're already on the way to me, and once they get to me, they won't be too long before they'll be making them available for you guys to get as well. Now, what if we had this little bit of forest back in here? We start popping down up into our clouds, bringing it down a little bit. Doesn't need to be too bright. We dip down to kind of save a little bit of that detail we had back in there. So nothing's all the same. Maybe come down from up here. Tapping in little bits and just covering in the stuff underneath. We don't want to see all that stuff. Now, you can really only tell. It's only about a 1 brush and a half worth of color. Sometimes only 1 right here. 1 brush length anyway, right? We don't need it to be every single wear on every single bit and go all over the place up and down, right? We just need a little color out there. We're gonna flatten it down with a little bit of pressure, just enough to drag like a streak or 2 come out the top. Just helps make it look a little flatter is all. A little bit sharper at the top is all we're really looking for. Now, let's get our little 1-inch brush, and because we're not gonna have a lot of room for mist in this top guy, let's just tap the side of the brush, bam, just into the white, so it's just out there onto the corner. And let's come in here and just start tapping it. See how bright it is? Like, immensely bright. We don't need it to be so bright. So we're gonna take that color, kind of grab it, drop it over here. Grab it again, drop it over there. And just kind of mix it back and forth so it's a little foggy underneath our trees back there. Now, if it's not bright enough, we can always go back with a little bit more of our white and do it again. Each time we do it, another chance to do it a little different. And we're really only saving the top maybe 1 inch. That guy's barely a 1/2 inch. This is maybe 1.5 inches. All depends on the size of your trees, right? But the more of that mistiness that you can put in there, only saving that little area up top is going to add depth to your paintings. Right? Come back in here, swipe it up. Now you can see that mist underneath those trees. And it doesn't have to be terribly bright. You don't need it to be insanely bright. Now let's go with our Paint with Josh 1-inch brush. The old soft and flop, as everybody knows it by, right? The bristles are very soft and flappy. So we're gonna come in here, we're gonna get a little of our sap green, a little of our Indian yellow as well. If you don't have the Indian yellow, you can use the yellow, cadmium yellow. I just don't have any out on my palette right now. We're gonna get a little bit of our white to sort of brighten up what that color looks like. And then we can decide how green we want it to be, right? Tap in over here, getting the color to kind of form on the edge of the bristles, and then maybe out into the night. Start dropping down this little hill, right? Rolling it kind of like a smiley face. Pop up, down, pop up, down, pop up, down, pop up, down, right? Little smiley faces in the night. Now, you can always go back in and fill in your little excess room right there. But it's a good way to help you to make it more perspectively correct, right? If we want it to get closer to us, it needs to roll down, right? Coming down around that way, over there in the night, mateys. Staying inside of our portal, because we don't want to go outside of it just yet. Now, let's say we wanted to brighten it up in certain spots. Go back a little bit more of our white, and come in and just pipe in little places, right? If it's too bright, stop, okay? Don't continue on. If you think it's gonna be too bright, just quit it. Stop where you're at, right? Because you can always go wipe off your brush and then go back in and dole those little bits down just by going over them again a couple more times. This little hill, see the broken areas in there? We don't have everything all exactly the same. You don't need it all exactly the same. That's purposeful, guys. Now, let's come in here with a bit of our liquid white and a bit of our titanium white. We don't need too much of the liquid white, just a very small bit. Get in there just to pull down some titanium white in there, just sort of make it a little bit waterier. And we're gonna come in right up underneath. And a little bit of darkness, right? It doesn't have to be so crazy. You want it to look foul like that. That's not a cool looking bit of water. Until you come in here and you start swiping down on this guy. Little bits, little bits, little bits. Swipe down on our color and drag it sideways. Very light, very lightly. See that? Get a little bit of water out there in the night. Whatever we want it to be, right? Then we're gonna have to launch over. Ooh. I mean, we sort of got to. You have to sort of drop out into our thing. But let's decide what we want our base guy to look like before we start dropping waterfalls out there. You get a little bit of my liquid white. I'm gonna come back in here, just very lightly, scraping in a couple little bits. Doesn't all have to be exactly the same. It's a little bit of rushing, rivery water, right? Just like that. A little bit of craziness is all you need. Okay, now I know that we could have propped it up a little bit higher. Might have helped us out a little bit. But in any case, we can make it work, right? We can do whatever we want to do out here. You guys, though, you have to tell me where you're watching from and what time it is where you are right now, right? What time is it? Right at this very moment. Tell me the time, if you would be so kind. Dude, we may not even have them, interact. Oof, the dilemma of creating live on the fly. Let's take a little bit of this guy. We know we're gonna have some ocean back here, so let's pipe in just a little bit. At least that'll give me an idea on where my horizon line is if I wanted it way the heck back there, right? If I decided maybe I should drop down a bit, I'll come in here, right, with another little line. We just want it to be there, right? Filling up a tiny amount of space in between because there's only a tiny amount of space to fill, okay? Now, I know that I'm gonna roll down at least, oh, we could make this waterfall literally falling out and into our ocean. All right, it's just gonna be a small guy though. We don't need it to be crazy. Just a little small little guy. We've gotta get enough paint onto our brush. And let's say we rolled out, right? It's gotta be up here, not from way down here. This is cheating. Get up here where your grass rolls. Fall out. Over, down, into the night, right? And we'll have that bit splashing into our oceany water below. So we're gonna leave a little space. We don't need it to be terribly huge, right? We don't want our water to come down too far and touch. We do need it to be bright enough and make a little 7. Over to the side, down, right? Little bit, dropping out. Remember, we never show we never paint anyway, all of the painting. You don't have to paint it all because we're gonna cover things, right? Let's get down here. Maybe we had this whole big old, just a splash. You can see I still haven't touched my horizon yet. I don't want the paints to touch. Now I'm gonna come in with the Paint with Josh 1-inch brush, just because it's very thin, very thin. Get in here, mix it up a little bit, and try to get it right down onto the horizon without touching. Maybe these guys will push that paint a little bit harder, or get up in here, right, and extend it out like it's a cloud in the night. Some sort of something. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. The more that we mix, softer everything becomes. Very lightly. Oh! Oh! I like it. Okay, let's get back up into the top portal because we're not finished with him yet. All right, we need one little thing. You know what we're going to do? We're going to switch from the... Excuse me. We're going to switch from the paint with paint with Bram fan brush to the paint with Josh fan brush. And come in here, very full of paint, right? The paint with Josh fan brushes are usable for acrylics and for oils. And if you're going to use them for oils, make sure you fill it with enough paint that you can get it to stay stuck together. Right? We know we're going to come down right about here. Just shapoopy, living right down on this side of our little river. Meaning we didn't have to paint every single little ripple. We didn't have to paint the whole thing. We don't have to paint the whole falls. Right? We don't have to do anything we don't want to do. Let's go a little bit higher than our portal though. Then we're going to come in with just the corner and start tapping at it. The more that we go down, the more that we then push in on our little tappy taps. Right? Connecting the whole brush against the canvas. Trying to deposit as much paint as physically possible and staying as thick as possible. Because you need those peaks and valleys of all that texture to pick up on our highlight paint. Right? Don't worry about what's off in the background. We can always change it. Bring your tree just a little bit lower. Now we're going to have a couple little bushes hanging out the bottom of that guy too. Right? And grab onto this paint back here and just soften it. Just kind of stretch it out. Bang! Don't go outside your portal though. Don't do that, guys. Now let's get our Paint with Josh bushy brush, and we're going to need to make up some more of our Paint with Josh black mix, which is a mixture. In this case, since I have Ultramarine Blue by Gamblin, and then the Alizarin Crimson and the Midnight Black by Bob Ross, we've got our Paint with Josh black. Right now, you can use any blue. Just make sure either Phthalo blue, Prussian blue, ultramarine, nothing brighter than phthalo blue. You don't want a bright blue, you want a dark blue, and phthalo is about the brightest we can go. Alright, so get a nice dark blue, that'll keep your paint nice and dark. Okay. Now let's grab our Paint with Josh bushy brush. Pow! Just like this little guy. Again, tell me where you're watching from. Just what time is it where you are right now? We're gonna pop our bushes up and then let them dangle over the side. They're hanging out over the edge of our portal, right? That's why we have all this background color back there. Now, I don't want to go too crazy on these little bushes because I haven't finished painting my seascape yet. But at least down to the water like that. And we can look like we're rolling out of somewhere and popping into another scene, right? And we can go highlight all those little guys and do everything we need to do. Like softening that little bit back there. So soft, right? We don't have to show everything, guys, honestly. Literally every time. Let's come back in here, a little bit of our liquid white. I'm going to go into my sap green and that Indian yellow mix. We're going to drop it over there, grab some of the sap green, work it into the yellowy mix so it stays kind of brighter. And then we can always go back in and grab some more of a sap to darken it. Now, we don't want any portions of the paint to be white with that liquid white. Right? We don't want that to happen. Let's get out here and start piping in just the brightest, smallest little taps you've ever seen. All the way along the edge first. Sometimes you have to turn your knife. My God, that's a perfect heart. That is literally a perfect heart-shaped little thing. That's so cool. Now I'm going to start working back, and you can see everything fell off my brush on the front side, and there's not much happening anymore. You can see all that green paint, but it's not contacting the canvas. The only portion of our brush that touches the canvas is the corner, and that corner is full of darkness. And so, if I were to continue, I'm going to need to turn the brush a little. I'm going to need to tap it a bit harder, right? And not try so many times going over it because it's going to ruin it, right? Always go back, wipe your brush off, get some fresh liquid white on there, back into our green, back over here to our little yellow pile or whatever. However, whatever color you want yours to be. Maybe this guy caught a little bit back here, little bright areas. Bink! That's the sharpest. That Paint with Josh brush, when you guys get it, was literally going to make the sharpest little tree branches for you. I just love it. I love this little brush so much. All right, guys. Hey guys! Hi! You guys, remember, tell me where you're watching from. Just what time is it where you are right now, guys? Just what time is it? Bink! Just a little craziness. Whoop! I'll drop my knife over there. Okay, now let's work on our highlights for our little bushy guy. And in order to do that, we need to clean out the darkness from all of our bush brush. Right? It's all full and just overly loaded, full of that black, really dark color. We gotta go clean it out, which is the most fun, the whole thing. Beating the old devil out of the brush. It's fabulous. Holy shaving cream, you guys. Now we're gonna have a rocky coast in this little guy. I'm gonna love it. You guys are gonna love it. We're all gonna love it. Okay, let's get back onto that bushy brush. Go into the liquid white. Little bit. Don't need too much, right? Didn't plunge the entire brush into there. Now, let's go over and do a little touch of our green. Just kind of tap it in. Right? You can see it start to deposit some of that liquid white. It's picked up the green in some areas, so let's rotate the brush and get a little of that Indian yellow on there too. Now we've got a multitude of colors onto here, so we can pop off little things. Some of them might be yellowy, some of them might be greeny. And as they droop and deposit down. Oh, look at that thing! That's amazing, dude! Just quite literally fantabutastic. I love that for me. Boom, boom! Okay, now that we've got all the darkness, right? We don't have so much bright there that we can't see everything else. We don't need to be able to see every bush or every branch of every single thing. It's honest. Honestly. Now, let's get out here and start getting crazy. Right? Say if we drop a little bit more of our white out there just to add a bit of brightness. And we'll highlight in the night. A bit of something happening. Over here, we're going to drop down. We're going to get below. We're going to roll down. Kind of pitch, roll up, roll down, flat off. Don't need much after that because of our new little rocky design. Right? These guys, again, we're going to take a bit of our color and just deposit it down on the front of our little line. Right? And let it grow back towards the other bit of color, whatever colors yours are. Right? You might not have yellow and green like mine because of differences in where you put your color. Right, so just have whatever color it is, get darker and darker and darker as we go over to the side. Little things. Now, you can either use a brush or you can use a palette knife and just get a small amount, right? And let's cast the water, not just pull straight down, but kind of roll it, toss it out, right? Having it roll down and getting lower and lower and lower as it goes away, right? The more that you mess with it, the more crazy and colorful it will become. So if you want to have some white areas, catch that light, right? Roll it down. We're going to have a very small little eye in here, just a little guy. We actually need some white onto the brush in order to make it light up. There it is. There it is. Right? Just a little bit of that light underneath our little wave. Now, we're going to come back over here. We're going to launch down. Right? Got that guy, so rolled up. Let's toss a little dude off of here. Just a little guy. Doesn't even have to be anything nuts, right? Doesn't have to look the same, doesn't have to roll the same or break the same or whatever. And have a little bit of craziness out there. Now watch. Let's say you're like, oh no, I messed up my crazy area, Josh. What do I do? Now I got this big bright section in there. If that happens, okay, let's make it brighter and then darker. So let's take our fan brush and just smash in this whole crazy thing right here. Just by mushing it and pushing it. Boom! Right? Get all that craziness. Then we're going to go back to our plaque mix. Roll up into this guy. This big old rocky projection. Something weird. Right? Make sure it's dark. We're going to go back over it. I know going across all this brightness is hard to make it look dark. I know. I get it. At least we'll have that guy out there. And then we'll know our water can kind of wrap around him. Maybe it connects up over here. Little things, just rolling it back and forth. Trying not to let everything overtake. Right? right? I don't want everything to all look exactly alike. And so, we stop ourselves from before that happens, right? Maybe this guy's got a little splashers. This is our liquid white, titanium white, right? We're crashing down, we're rolling down our little deal, just like we do in our bigger waves, just a smaller scale is really all we're doing. A smaller scale, come back in here, mix that color up just enough to make it hard to see. Swipe it out. Doesn't have to be perfect, you guys, every time. Now, we know that this bit of water that was way over here has to connect, right? And it depends on the angle. So, if we go straight down, it's going to look like a cliff hanging off there, right? But if we go to the side, and at least a 45, if not a shallower angle. The more that you go to the, the edge, the more shallow your angle becomes until your water ends up being flat, right? Just like that. Holy shaving cream, you guys. That one is cool. Couple little bits, little things happening in the knife. A little bit more of our liquid white and our titanium white, just to help it fall off the knife, right? These guys kind of drag along and just make them messy around that rock. It's just a frothy, messy mess out there around all this stuff. Very flat, very flat. You can get a little lower if you wanted to. Just a little lower, a little crazier. By changing our angles, zigzagging back and forth, until they come down and meet, right? All up to us every single time that we do it. We can do it a bit differently, right? Every time. Let's take this guy and flatten him out, kind of cut through it, leave a little bit of difference, and now it looks like we've got this further away wave. It's rolling in. A little brighter on that side just so it connects along. Right now in that gap back here, why don't we decide to do some weird shape bit of brightness, right? And maybe let that brightness go almost all the way back without touching. We cannot have them touch. There has to be a disconnect. Otherwise the front water starts looking like the back water and nobody can tell what's happening. Okay, so let's get over here and grab a little bit of our liquid white. You guys know, what does the liquid white do to the titanium white? What does it do? Is there any reason why we use it, or we just use it just because? You know what I mean? Like, what does it do to our thicker paints to make them work a bit better for us? It thins it down. Exactly, guys. Thins it. Thank you guys for the follows. Love y'all. All right, so we're going to get a little of our liquid white and the titanium white. And then we're going to come underneath, just a little bit under our existing water line, leaving a very small, dark gap underneath, right? Doesn't have to be perfect. Can be messy, and it can be bigger too, right? You don't have to have it just looking one way or the other. Then we can come back in here with our 2-inch brush, just grabbing that messy paint that was in the front and pulling it down. And as we pull it down, it starts to interact with the colors that are underneath. So we get the blue and the green and all that stuff. Right? And then we have to turn those guys from being vertical streaks into horizontal streaks. So I tend to grab away. We're kind of running out of room, so we're going to have to pull back towards our bit of wave. I normally try to pull away from the wave and then pull towards the wave just to help it, right? Look at that for a little sandy little section of beach. Now, we have to come back in and add one more bit that's in the front of all of those things. Because there's never just one wave out there and that's it. There's always a little bit of excess, a little something that kind of found its way the heck out here. Right? Just jiggling around however it wants to be. A little craziness out there. Right now, I like taking that craziness, whatever it is, and sliding it back a little bit, like it's a bit of sea foam. It doesn't have to fully reach our last little section, but at least there's something there now. Right? Now, let's take our 2-inch brush, since it's going to fit just perfectly. We're going to drop in one more time right beneath this guy, just with a bit of paint on the brush this time, versus being on the canvas. A little bit. Look out. Keep within our portal. Don't want to go. Don't want to escape. No one is escaping the portal. Right? Pull it down so it brightens it up a little bit. And again, we're going to do the same thing. Now you can have it be as bright as you want it to be, right? If you want it to be super bright, have it be super bright. If you want it to be dark, or at least fade into dark, then have it be dark or at least fade into dark. Right? However you want it is how it gets to be. Oh, that's fantastic. One more little baby out here that we're not going to touch. Just a little line across. Drag off a couple little bits if we got to, or if we can. Out there. It's a couple little pieces. We don't want it to be too bright though, so don't put too much paint on your knife. Oh man, that's cool. That's cool. Sure, guys. I like this one. So you guys have to start coming up with a title for this painting right here. Right? You guys are my key titlers. Come in here with the Paint with Josh the Paint with Josh fan brush and a little bit of our liquid white. I'm just gonna spray in some sprays. Just got some sprays crashing off that rock out there. I got a few more crashing into our wave or hitting down on this side over here. A couple little bits. Boom, boom, boom. We don't need to have too many. And our liquid white has to be the right consistency of white in order to fling off. Like this liquid white may be a little bit too dry. So let's get a bit of fresh, brash liquid white. I have the fresh stuff. I need to order a new jar, by the way, before I forget. I'm gonna order a new jar. How many times does anyone else do that? You like talk to yourself and you go, okay, I gotta do this. I gotta order this thing, and then you never do. You just forget everything that you ever said to yourself, and you're like, no, I didn't need that. Apparently I didn't need to remember such things. Right, get in here. The more liquidy white the liquid white is, the more it will spray easily off of our palette, right? Let's get a couple of our little sprays down into our sand. Just a few little bits, a few little details here and there. Right? Little things. Bink! Couple little binks. That's all you gotta have. Out there in the night. Right now, around, because these are eclipses and portals into space, man. I'm gonna have some stars out there into the night. In the night. Sure, guys. Very cool. Oh, I like that one, dude. That's a cute one, my guy. Let's pop a little bit more brightness into our little cloud over here. Just to make them a little crazier. Just because I can never just be satisfied with what's up there. There we go. Yeah, a couple more little deets. Gotta have the deets in there, you guys. Those little the little deets back there. Okay, so you guys start coming up with a title for this painting. If you like it, you can go to paintwithjosh.com. It's the very first thing up there. And you can grab it. Right? Oh, it's so neat looking. Guys. Oh, holy cow. Whoo! 810 in New York over there. Thanks for checking in, guys. Holly Dragonfly Woman. How are you going to be late? We start at the same time every Friday and every Monday. How are you going to be late on us, man? I'm just joshing you. It's okay. You can be a little late. It's all good. Look at that. We need to get a couple little sprays falling off of our little guy back here. He's very small, though. Far away, so we don't need very many spray bits. Oh, man. That's cool. Maybe, Josh, perhaps, now that we got a bit of stuff in there, right? Just a bit of action. Maybe I nearly forgot to take. Let's get some of our brown. Some brown, some of that Indian yellow, just a little touch of it. Hey, grab that guy, and let's come back here and just kind of tap on a couple little bits. Doesn't need to be so bright. We need to have a dark area, so don't tap it on everywhere. All right? Just let it get into the darkness. That's cool. That I like. Now, I'm debating whether or not we do one more monster of a rock. Gotta finger paint a little bit. Should we do one more monster of a rock? That's the question I ask of you. What is your answer? Right down, right where I put that is where I'm thinking about doing this big old rock. We could do another one over here, onto the side. All depends. What do you guys think? What do you think? Nature's orb. I like that. I like it. Opposites attract. That's cool. one like that too. Alternate universe. Yes to the rock on the bottom right. Right side, right side. Right, because if we did one over here, right, and we made it too big, it's going to make our perspective look weird. If we go big on this side, right, there's some huge boulder, we can even let it hang out the edge of our portal if we really wanted to. These guys in the foreground are hanging out of the edge of our portal, so it only makes sense if we were to drop something out here onto the edge of our portal. But let's just see. We'll take one big rock, a whole big bunch of this plaque mix, scoop it up into a crazy amount, and once you just literally just shut your eyes and just go, bang, that's where it lives. Okay, now I got to make it look like a rock. Let's come in here, maybe we pop it up and project it a little bit. Projecting, launching, covering, boom. The more bigger, that sounds so dumb. The more bigger it done dare be, the more done close it gonna be too. So you gotta make it bigger if you want it to stand out. Not necessarily meaning that it goes, you know, taller than our other rock, but at least it's much larger. It sits down lower, feeds its way into here, and then let's go back to our little highlights. I want this guy to be just chunked, just chunktified. Couple little bits, tapping it in. Right? You don't need to do the drag thing. You can go and like drag it down, and if you're good enough to do that, by all means do. It's gonna make your rock look different. Right? But if you're not, if you're like, oh, I kind of struggle with that, then just scoop up a whole chunk, tap the canvas, and pull it away. Right? Tap and move, tap and move, tap and move. That little bit of crazy old rock in the night. Come in here, scrape a little bit of that liquidy white sort of water around his edge. Right? We could make him fall outside, or we could keep him right in there. What do you guys think? Oh, he's neat, right? That's a cool looking little dude right there. Now remember, the painting won't be this super bright in for realsies, for real lives, because I've got all these lights that just make it so you guys can see every single detail, right? That's cool. Keep it in, I know, right? We'll just hang out on right here on the inside. The inside of the portal, the crystal. You can even get out there and just clean up the edge. Bang, with our fan brush right there. Boom! Sugar! That's cool. I like it, dude. That is a pretty neat one. I always forget about them big old rocks. Not trying to cover everything, right? Leaving some of the original darkness. We've got taps going this way that are horizontal. This is like a rounded curve. Those taps were diagonal up there. Don't make everything all look exactly the same. That's my one thing. Please, don't make everything exactly the same. Please. There we go. Ooh, just a little bit of that brownery. Right? That same brown that was on our rocks. And you can get just your little tree trunk to stand out a couple places inside of your tree. Oh, if it was my mom, she would have me spin that tree around so the holes were in the back for Christmas time. Anybody else mom like that? Or is that just my crazy old mom? Zippity-doo-dah. I love this painting. My, my. Ooh. Okay, let's get out here. We'll come up with a title. Remember, if you want to grab it, it's available on paintwithjosh.com. And I'm tempted to give you an offer. Just tempting you. Maybe. Oh, I just put my whole hand in a bunch of paint. But maybe I'll give you a 2-for-1. You buy one, you get 2 paintings. Right? Just maybe. I'll have to decide. I have a couple winter scenes over here that I thought one of them had already found a forever home, so I painted another one exactly like it just to have another one in my inventory, but it didn't. So I have 2 of these exact same paintings, and I'm thinking maybe, just maybe, that if somebody gets this painting during the live show, you'll also get a painting of equal size and a Paint with Josh original. You know what I mean? It's not a print. It's their original paintings over there. Citrine Sunset. I like that. Citrine Sunset. That's kind of cool. dudes. Look at these rocks, my bros. Deal of the year, Nature's Portal. I like that for a title. Piece of driftwood would have been cool too. It would have been cool. Now that we got that big old rock in there, I'm not sure about a piece of driftwood though. Let me clean up this section of my palette just so I can actually pick it up without getting paint all over myself. And then we'll be ready to start cleaning up. So you guys start typing in your title suggestions, right? If somebody grabs it during the show, you're not only going to get this painting, but you're also going to get a winter painting with a different orientation, meaning it'll be landscape oriented. Right? This little guy, like this. So you get this painting, which is the exact same size as this painting is, but this will come free. This will be 1622 is the number that you'll get, along with 1646. So if you want to grab either one of those guys, grab the one that's on display up here on the easel. And if you get it during the live show, you'll also get that second painting along with it for 100% free 99. Over there. It's like you're getting a 5-finger discount on that guy. Here, over there. Wash off some of these brushes. And like I said, if nobody gets it, that's fine. We need to come up with a title anyway. And so what I'll do is I'll go through the comments and randomly select a title that's been put forth as a suggestion. So if you think you've got the best title out there for this painting, keep typing them into the comments now, because I'll be going through, if need be, and selecting one at random. So the more times you type it in, the more chance you're going to have of your title being selected. There we go. Sugar! Citrine Sunset. That's the second time I've seen that one. I like it. Double Vision. That's cool too. That's cool too. Type them in. I only got 2 more brushes to clean. And then if it hasn't sold by then we're going to do the random pickery. So type in your suggestions now. 1, 2 more brushes. Remember, we do like a big swipe, and stop on whatever comment it is. That's going to be the title. So the more times that you type it in, the better chance you're going to have of being randomly chosen. There we go. Last one. Or is this one already clean? I'm unsure. Looks like it's clean, but it's acting like it's dirty. It's acting very sus over here. Alright. Whew! All cleaned up and ready. Oh, man. Space trip. I like that. Okay. Taking my sick husband. Oh, man. I'm so sorry, Holly. I hope he feels better. Thank you, Misty. Appreciate it. Feeding the Sea. That's a cool title, too. All right. Let's flip one of these. Whoop. Maybe we should flip the camera around first. There we go. That's how we normally do it. Let's flip you guys around, and we'll get you all back and close. Close enough, anyway. We'll put the birds in, Barb. Don't worry. We got it. But now I got to pick a title from all of your title suggestions, because this one didn't find a forever home, which is okay. Right? We can't sell every painting during a live show. And that's fine, isn't it? Just fine, isn't it? This guy out a little bit more. I might straighten up his circularness. Oh yeah, that worked. That worked. Just a couple little drags out and get your circle to get back to normal. Now, I'm going to go through and pick a title. So, if you've typed in your title enough times, maybe you'll get chosen. Right now, literally, we're going to swipe. Oh, swipe, stop. Who's that? Citrine Portal by Brooklyn6984. You guys. Sure. I told you. You type it in there enough times, it may happen. So, let's get this guy taken out, flipped around, and signed up. Like that. Over here. Zip, zap, zoop. Just like that. I was hoping we'd be able to see this one in a light party, but you guys know the rules, man. If it doesn't find a forever home, then we can't do a light party on it, unfortunately. Just have to do it for my own self after everyone's already gone. 16... Is it 46, guys? Is it 46? 1646? I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure. Guys, anybody? Anybody out there? Like that. I'm pretty positive. Yeah, okay, thank you guys, thank you. 1646, the year that Columbus sailed and picked up sticks. All right, of course. This one was painted on 1/10/2024. We're all gonna go to paintwithjosh.com because you can get classes online and in person. You can find merch, prints, posters, puzzles, t-shirts, all sorts over there on paintwithjosh.com. All you gotta do is go have a look-see. Isn't that gorgeous? All right, let's get these other cameras out of the way, and then we'll be all done for the night. 2020. Ethel, did I say something different? How can we access your online classes? Go to paintwithjosh.com, scroll down. It's like the fourth thing down that you'll come to. You'll be able to see if you're using the same supplies that we're using. Then you can book a class and we'll paint a scene or work on whatever you need. Mr. Shut, did I say something different about the date, guys? Hang on, let's just double check. Okay, so we did put 25. I feel you on that. I see the 25 there. I might have said something different, but that's my dyslexia. And it's, you know, the beginning of the year. We're all used to saying 24. Plus, it's Murphy's Law. You guys know Murphy's Law, right? We are going to do one more. And you guys know Murphy's Law, though? That law that says, like, if something can happen, it will happen. Right, Mr. Chavez? Mr. Chavez. Right? I'm just asking you a question. I want to ask you two questions, basically. Basically, two questions over here. Little, right, so Mr. Chavez, you know of Murphy's Law, right? That law that says if something can happen, it will happen, right? Everyone knows of that one. That's my first question I want you to answer, yes or no. Probably yes, because everybody knows that one, right? Probably. I'm just guessing that it's probably yes. Right? Thank you, Nate. Appreciate you. Appreciate it. Trying to get Mr. Chavez to have a conversation with me here. Right? I like it. Thanks, Jade. Appreciate it. Right, so okay, so you know of Murphy's Law. Here's the next question, just yes or no. Do you know of this guy named Cole who also wrote a law? And it's much more obscure. It's kind of more having to do with painting, and many less people know of it or have heard of it before. So, do you or have you ever heard of this guy named Cole who wrote a law? By the way, can I just get famous for writing one sentence? Thanks, Jade. Appreciate it. But, Mr. Chavez, did you... No, I'm going to add the birds. Don't worry. I'm going to add the birds. Chill out. Chill out. Just trying to see if Mr. Chavez knows of this guy named Cole who wrote a law, kind of like Murphy's Law, and it's a lot less well known, right? Shoo! Never heard of it. Really? I mean, I thought that it was more popular than that. But I can tell you what it is. It's basically like cabbage and carrots and mayonnaise. You can get it from KFC. Your local deli has Cole's Law. You guys see that over there? Yeah, you've never heard of Cole's Law before? That's weird. It's delicious. Watch. Oh, it's fair. Fell out already. I got a quick digestive tract. But yeah, you've never heard of Cole's Law before, huh? Really? Oh, slaw. Apparently I'm saying it wrong. It's coleslaw. So, my bad. Mr. Chavez left already. All right, so all you guys over on Facebook and on YouTube, thank you for hanging out and being with us. And it's been a fantastic show. I can't wait to see your guys' versions of this painting. So, send them in to facebook.com/officialpaintwithjosh or instagram.com/paintwithjoshk. And until I see you guys again next time, take care. Have the rest of a good day and bow. Boom, you guys. It's fantastic. Just epically amazing.